Hello, friends. Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to remind you that we are here committed to building you. Pastor Andrew is my name. I love men. At Encounter, we spend a lot of our times investing in men. Why? Because we do believe when a man is built up, when a man is made better, society becomes better. You see, when you build a man, he gives opportunity for women to have safe environments, to live out their God-given potential, to be able to live a life that is for fulfillment. And that's why we want to do this. We want to build men so that women and children can be better, can flourish. Women and children flourish when men are better. And so we're going to spend the next years just discipling men. Now, I know many of you heard of our men's commissioning. We have a 6 months program, intense program that disciples men. And so what I'm going to do is, many of you are calling me and saying, how can we be a part of it? How can you help us grow as men? And I've answered your cry. As Men at Encounter, we have decided to do a podcast. We'll be releasing 2 podcasts every month. Every first Tuesday of the month, we'll release a teaching, 20 to 25 minutes podcast. But then the third Tuesday of the month, we'll release a discussion. I'll be sitting with men and we will discuss about many issues so that we can make men better. Our vision is this. We want to build great men so that those men can create an environment where women and children can flourish, can be their best. And that's what we do. One of the things, my friends come and visit church and they're amazed to see that the men are serving. All over, the men are serving. Behind these cameras are men. When you go in the sound, they are men. Worship, they are men. And that excites me because that's a different model. And we love it that way. And I want to tell you men out there, we love you. We are proud of you. We are verging for you. Everything we are doing is to make sure that you become better. So don't be discouraged. So I want you to make sure you consume this content, you release it to other men, you discuss it in your small groups. But also this is what I want you to do. If you're a lady, I know some of you ladies are watching and you want to make sure that you choose the right man, this is the right podcast for you to watch. But also you may be there as a lady and you're wondering, I have a husband who should be watching this. I have a brother who should be watching this. And so I'm committed to making sure I give you the greatest content I know so that you can be a great, great man. So now let's go into the content of today. Today we are having our foundational truth. We want to analyze the crisis and the state of manhood in Uganda, but also globally. What is that state? Where are we at? Where are we? And the first thing I want to speak about where we're at, men are absent. I know many of you are nodding and saying it's true. Men are absent. And the rise of men being absent in their homes has created moms to raise their children alone. So many households, in fact, the statistics in Uganda is this, 28% of households are led by mothers. Man, that's a big number. And those that are not led by mothers, dads are not present. You find that he's visiting this home and visiting the other home. I saw statistics that are telling us an average man has around 4 women that is visiting, meaning that at one time in a month he's not present. So we've seen that when men are absent in our society, in our homes, women are carrying the burden. Women are carrying the burden of raising children, of taking them to school, of looking for food. They are the ones doing everything. As that's a crisis in our nation. And we need to deal with that. Because if we don't deal with it, we're going to have this cycle continuing. Now, the second crisis and that we see in society and manhood is this. Men are not committed to relationships. They are not. They just want to have vibes and all that. There's no commitment. And the rise of men not being committed to relationship has brought another challenge. That now we have the rise in singlehood. Young ladies, some of my daughters will tell you that, I want to be single, but I need a child. So, Pastor, how do I get a child without getting married? And there's a crisis right currently. We all know that what is happening in churches are full of ladies. It is true. And most of these ladies are single. In workplaces, ladies, we have very many ladies that are single. They are tired of men who can't take responsibility. They're tired of men who have no bone. So they're thinking, no, why do I need a man? And this crisis is growing day by day. Now, with even introduction of IVF and all these other methods, they're continuing to kick out the man. All I need is his sperm, and the man goes away. And so the single moms, single ladies are increasing day by day. And so that is a crisis that we are going through. The other crisis that I see is the feminist agenda. Now, I need to say this. The feminist agenda started well. It started with a good proposition. Women were being battered. We all know that. The domestic violence has been on increase. Women have been battered. Women have been marginalized. Some societies were saying, no, we can't educate a woman. Women should stay at home. And so for the last 30 years, there was a rise in feminism. And their agenda was, we need women's rights at the forefront. And that's a great thing. Everyone wants to make sure that the ladies have the best. The ladies are taken care of. The ladies are they are firing on all cylinders. They're being the best that God created them. And I, as Pastor Andrew, I have two daughters, and I want them to be the best that God created them to be. But now, as we moved on in society, that agenda changed. It became, now we don't need a man. It became, now a man is evil. Now it became, the whole agenda started demeaning a man, trying to make sure a man becomes a woman. And that whole chaos that we don't need a man, whatever a man can do, I can do. Why are we wasting our time with men? Men are beasts, you've heard that. Men are beasts, men are not supposed to be trustworthy, marriage is not working. The whole narrative about men became so negative and so toxic. And so what happened? The men started coiling. The men became wimps. And society has been destroyed by such language. In fact, for the years that I've pastored men and helped men be better, I can tell you the most discouraged human being I know, the most discouraged human being I know is a man. Men are discouraged. And so this narrative, this language has killed most of our men. And it's time for us to redeem it. The other area that we need to deal with, where there is a big crisis, is the boy child has been neglected. We have neglected the boy child. I can tell you everything is affirmative action. Everything is the lady. And it's okay for us to empower women. But we have neglected who? The boy. And I've asked many people in the spaces that I pastor, but also in the corporate space where I spent some time. Our daughters have been empowered. Our daughters have had all the skills, and we're doing everything to see them live their best life. But those girls will want to get married to what? To those boys. But now the boys have been neglected for 30 years. And there is this all illusion and lie that the boy will grow up. He will find his way. But is that true? And the crisis we're in right now is as a result of Bakuzi, who now they have grown. And what we're having is a crisis at hand. Why? The boy doesn't know how to lead. The boy doesn't know how to be a man. The boy doesn't know how to take care of a woman. The boy doesn't know how to work. And all those things have been a result of us not focusing on the boy. The boy has been neglected. I remember in society, when I was a young boy, whenever we would go to fetch water, everyone would look out for the girl. When it's late, it's around 6, everyone would say, hey, girls are not supposed to be out this late. So everyone is looking out. How can we help this girl win? But no one would tell us anything. Would do whatever. We're stealing mangoes, we're climbing trees, we're doing all sorts of things. No one is advising. In fact, it's so even funny. When people are getting married, the boys will go out and just have fun and party and and enjoy. But what are girls doing? They're seated with their mother, they are seated with their singer, they are seated with their pastor. Some of them come at home here and they see Pastor Angel and they're asking questions. But what are the boys saying? Let's go for pork. They're just there. They're doing whatever. And then you're asking yourself, how is pork related to marriage? How is pork related to work? And that's the neglect of the boy. But also, the last one that I have seen is teen pregnancy. We've had very many of our young girls become pregnant. It's a crisis. In fact, the national strategy to end childhood marriage and teen pregnancy tells us that in East Africa, Uganda has the highest rate. We are at 25%. My goodness, 25%. And the UN report tells us 1 in 4 girls are becoming pregnant or are pregnant in Uganda. That is a huge crisis. And so one of those days I was given a consultancy to just have a conversation around looking after those teens and all the strategies that were being discussed in that meeting. I remember they were all about, we need to get these girls a good home. How do we integrate them back into school? How do we help them have the right resources? How do we make sure they don't miss out? How do we make sure we arrest the boys? And all those things are good strategies. But I asked them a question. Do you realize that all these girls didn't become pregnant by Holy Spirit? The only reason they became pregnant is because they were involved in sex with a boy. How come in all our discussions, we're not talking about the boys? Where is the boy in the picture? Because I believe if you touch the boy, you change the narrative. If the boys are changed, if the boys are dealt with, if the boys are discipled, what will happen is girls will not get pregnant at that age. But they couldn't get it. They were saying, no, Pastor, we don't get this. What are you talking about? And I need to tell you this. This is very close to my heart. During COVID, one of Angel and I were running a wholesale shop. And so we employed one of the girls. And she became our daughter, a 19-year-old girl. Angel had great history with the mother that needed help. Angel had taught the vulnerable women. And so so the woman came and said, help my daughter get a job, which we did. We gave her a job. She worked for us. Angel was mentoring her. Angel is my wife. So one day, something happens. We see the girl during COVID, in the middle of COVID. She was pregnant, maybe around 2 months or 3 months. My wife comes and says, this girl is pregnant. I said, no, it can't be. You've been talking to her and all that. To cut the long story, indeed she was. And she was wondering, what do I do? I don't want to tell. She didn't want to tell us, but we had already found out. And so she was thinking, what do we do? I was quite upset. I was thinking, what? Who makes a 19-year-old girl pregnant? There is a problem here. I need to deal with it. So what did I do? Being a man that I am, strong man, I went. So the parents had another shop. I went to that shop. I found the mother, talked to the mother. The mother was very empathetic, very remorseful. And in that process, the mother said, but why don't you talk to the father? So I talked to the father. The father could not face me. The father could just talk to me via phone. So that's what I did. Called him, we talked. When we talked, the man made the statement where I knew there's a problem. The man tells me, my son cannot make your daughter pregnant. Now we're talking about the son who is 17 years old, Form 5. And I was mad. I said, no, my son cannot make a girl pregnant. I asked him, how old is your son? He's 17. I said, are you kidding me? So it was very heated in that moment. And we decided they denied the child and all that. So we took on responsibility as a family. I took on that responsibility with my wife. We helped the girl integrate, be able to give birth, took her to hospital, did whatever we could in the means that we had. Now that story is painful to our daughter, to the girl. It was painful. But let me tell you, the most painful thing was with the boy. Because now the boy is chilling out somewhere, is not having responsibility. And that is the problem. That's what we are going through. So the teen pregnancy we are talking about, listen, it can be solved by us concentrating on the boy. So I want to recap today. We said, number one, men are absent. And the result of them being absent in homes, moms have taken over the role of leading. Number two, we've said that men are not committed to relationships. And because they're not committed to relationships, there's a rise of single women. Women who are just saying, all we need is to have our children. If pastor, I can only have a child, I don't need a man. A man is stressed. You'll hear that coming up. Number three, we've said that we have the feminist agenda. That started well. They started well. They wanted to fight for the rights for the women. But they ended up saying, now we don't need a man. A man is useless. We don't need him. We've also said that there's been a neglect of the boy child. The boy child has been neglected. We need to go back to concentrating on that boy child. Because everywhere we see there's a cry. This whole narrative, boys will grow up, is not true. Anything that we don't focus on and nurture will never grow. It just becomes wild. So we have wild boys, and they have never gone to be a man. Then lastly, we said the rise of teen pregnancy in Uganda. 25% of teenagers are becoming pregnant, the highest in East Africa. So how do we deal with these issues? How do we deal with such crises? How do we handle them? So the question I want to leave for you, my men, I want you to discuss this. How should we respond to these issues? These are the issues we are going through. How should we respond to them? Because we can't put our head in the sand and hope everything will be okay. No, we have to respond to them. So at your workplace during lunchtime, discuss how do you respond to these issues? As a man, how do you do that? As a lady watching this, how can you be part of a solution instead of being a problem? And so what is going to happen is, after a week from now, I'm going to sit down with another man or two and just have a comprehensive discussion of the effects of these and how we can speak into them. That's what is going to be happening. So what we'll do is we'll be releasing this and then have a discussion as a follow-up podcast to help us put this in perspective, to help us grind it, to help us become better. So thank you so much for joining us today. Wherever you're consuming this content, if you're on YouTube, I want you to press like. If you've liked this information, we'll continue helping you be a better man, grow you into being the man that God created you to be. We want to tell you something as men. We love you. As Encounter, we love you. We love men. So don't lose heart. We are here to make sure you become the greatest man that God has ever created. Bless you. Have a fantastic day.